Okay, so this is the second in potentially, hopefully, a two-part live stream, which was us painting. I say us, I say me painting Varag Ghoulchewer. Um, and he's for no specific team. That's why I've just done him straight up in black. Um, yeah, no specific team. I've just done him this way. He'll kind of fit into whichever team I'm using at the moment. And in the first part, we literally laid on the colours using contrast paints. And tonight, I'm hoping to finalise what we've got. And yeah, put the highlights in, some shades, call it a day. I may not get round to basing him tonight, but you'll get to see the base when I do a little wash up for TikTok. I think the first thing I need to do is just colour in his little hat there. You can just see that still white there and some other bits, so we'll do that next. Let's have a look. Snakebite leather, contrast snakebite leather. We'll go with that. So I'm still playing with the settings, and hopefully the audio in the background is not too distracting. Okay, under there. Okay, anywhere else? Okay. And then for the two pieces of, I don't really call that, maybe I'm going to call it flint or something, some kind of stone or bone. I'll do it as stone. So in that case, I'll get, here we go, some contrast basilicanum grey. We'll put that on next. Just trying to touch up those bits that I've forgotten about on the last one, or didn't get round to, one of the two. What else have we got? Okay. So the next bit is going to be, if you've not used any of these acrylic pens yet, I strongly suggest get yourself some. These are cracking. I've had a lot of fun with these so far, and it's as simple as picking a spot and colouring it in, literally. I think pens like this help take a lot of the pain out of stuff. And I think especially metallics, where they can get a bit sticky and dry if you're not using a wet palette. These take a lot of that effort away. Okay. Let's have a look. This kind of knuckle duster that he's got going on down here. All these little studs. Okay. I find I have to be conscious of where the camera's looking, just try and get in there. Okay. The chainmail. And then I will dab just some places. Often I'm just holding and leaning, using my hand on the table to maintain a steadier hand, because I tend to shake a bit if I'm honest. I'm just going around looking for bits of metal to block in on the top there. Oh, bear with me a second, we'll just switch that battery over. Da-da-da. There we go. Normal service will resume. You didn't really miss anything there. It was just quickly. I'm just going around, still blocking in the bits of metal. Just having another good look. Any clips, buckles? Ah, belt. See, there's always somewhere. Okay. Next bit is going to be. I think I'll start on the bone. So, I'm going to do it two-tone. It's going to be a Shabty bone for the first part highlight, and then Wraith bone for the follow-up to get all that once I've done a shade on it. So, okay. Making use of my wet palette here. Right, so. On the forehead here, this skull. Now the audio you can hear is my own mix of AI created music, which I tend to use because I find I was getting too many issues relating to copyright free music and other music sources, so this was an easy way just to provide that backing track. And I had some fun making it in the process as well. Most of it is kind of Warhammer themed. Using the side of the brush to try and make an edge. I'm going to stick to having that big crack on the underside there. We'll keep that in. We kind of have to. It's designed that way, so. Okay. Now the ghoul has obviously got one big giant piece of bone sticking out of his rib cage. So we will utilize that one. It takes a bit of getting used to, you know, like painting, but also keep checking back at your screen to make sure A, you've got the bit of the model that you're painting in the screen, and B, it's in focus. It's not the most natural of things to be trying to keep an eye on. do, 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 do. Okay. I'll try and get in on the Ghoulchewer's teeth. Let's give the brush a wash. In the background, I'm also working on another video, which is going to be the Blackhawk team. Let me give you a little snippet of one of those. Technique was very similar, and I'll be unveiling that in a video in the near future. Really trying to get back into the shed and get more stuff done. Okay. Right, so that's its first layer. That's all the bone done. I'll just check and make sure there's nothing like around his pants or around the back somewhere. I'll just put a bit on the hands down there. We'll just get adding in bits of shading somewhere. We're going to go over this with a different colour anyway. Okay. Right. Let's have a look at his hair. Do I go in with a bit of Mephiston red? I think Mephiston red's pretty much the same colour. So, with that in mind then, I'll skip that one and go in with a bit of Wild Rider red, which should give us that extra bit of pop that we need just on the hair itself. So, that's next. Okay. Again, I'm just kind of using the side of the brush there just to lift and drag on those raised areas. You can see I'm catching it just a little bit there. And then same on the top. Okay. And then while I've got this on the brush, what I might just do is just to give it that extra tint, go in with a bit of Troll Slate Orange at the end. I just might do like a 1-1 mix on this. Just so it's a bit more tipped at the ends here. Just okay. Same on the back there. On the top bit. Okay. I think we're getting there with that. That's just that red hair's popping on its own. Quite nice. Okay, so next bit is we will look at that. Let's get a quick layer on the ghoul here. I'm going to use a pallid witch flesh. Okay. Again, get some of that on the palette. Okay, so I've just seen kind of like these raised areas of skin, where it's kind of flapping. Trying to keep some just on the edges, because they allow me to go around with the shade afterwards with the different colours that I want. I like the idea of this guy kind of still being alive, or in ghoul-like form, you know, undead. Not just decaying Ujim, or what's it on his vambrace up here. Up on his shoulder pads. Okay. Get round the back there. Okay. Okay. Right. Next bit is going to be Steel Legion Drab. Just to try and pick some of this trousers out. Let's just see. I might just do a bit on the gloves here. Just so we get the effect. I think that is actually a kind of a better colour to kind of lift those raised areas of the trousers and the other areas. So it looks a little less coloured in. I heard that quote this week. People using contrast paints, it kind of can look like it's been coloured in rather than painted. So I'm just trying to bring some of that back, especially where it might have pooled. Yeah, happy with that. It's almost like they could have done with maybe a second coat. Where's my drab gone? There we go. So I hope the audio's coming through there. I've had a notification say it might not be. So I'm just going to do a little test. Let's just see how this looks if I look at this on my phone. Okay, there's a bit of lag to it. Let's just continue. Let's just get the model painted. We'll go from there. And what I'll do is I'll end up spending a bit of time learning how to set up OBS properly. I think that'll be the next step. I think that combination of what's it called, rattling grime contrast plus a bit of Steel Legion drab over the top of it to lift it is quite a good combo. I think quite like that. Okay. Right, orc skin. Warboss green, I think. Same again, similar to previous. We'll fill it in a bit. See how this looks. Okay. Just trying to make this pop a little bit more like we did with the previous colour. I'm filling some of the areas that aren't looking too good. It's a good way of fixing the mistakes as well as we go. Now, I tend to go with the old school law when it comes to the orcs. The bigger they are, the darker the green. Hence the term black orcs. You know, there was a reason back in the old days why they were called black orcs. It's because they were bigger and darker. And I quite like that. I think the modern way of painting orcs is getting them kind of like almost luminous, almost like a cross between this and this. And it's maybe a bit much to me. But what I might do though is just the highlight with the moot green. Okay. Okay, I'll just drag this now over the face just to lift some areas. Okay, I'm going to try a quick change. Let's just see if this helps bring the music out. Okay. I think that may have fixed it, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I think we're going to be a bit of trial and error till I get all my settings dialed in. It'll do for now. Do for now. Right, let's get a 1-to-1 mix going with this moot green. Okay. It's mainly just to lift areas, specifically, you know, the larger areas that we can see. Give it a bit more definition. Bit of warmth as well. I think adding this kind of yellowy look to it might make it a hint more realistic. Let's see. Those two back areas, just a little tweak across it. Okay, just across the knuckles there. Okay. Right, next one. Wraith Bone. It's just a tweak highlight now. Right. What we're going to do next is start applying shading. So for that I've got Agrax Earthraid for the trousers. So we'll get a bit of a bigger brush. Trousers and gloves. And we'll do the belts and other bits of leather while we're at it. And it'll help us be forgiving on areas where we haven't really got much going on. There's a bit of a definition drop. So I'm just really slapping this on into the hair and go around the bone with that as well. On the metals, slap it everywhere really. I won't do the skin though, I'm going to leave the skin. This guy's certainly starting to take shape now. So I am a big believer in the contrast method. I just think you need to go that little bit extra to make it go that extra mile. I mean, it's great, you know, for getting your stuff on the tabletop, coloured in, nice. But I do think it needs that little bit of je ne sais quoi, just to give it some more. Okay. Okay, so happy with that there. So the next bit is the ghoul himself. We are going to try and do a kind of wet blend. I want this to go between red and green. So for this I'm going to use Carroburg Crimson as a shade. And also Quelea Green shade. Okay, so we'll start with the green. I'm just going to try and get this into the model in a few places. Mainly in, like, I want it to look like he's decaying a bit. Okay. Okay, I think less is more there. And then the red will be for any exposed areas. And areas where, like, for example, the big bone there has come through his chest type thing. So that's really what I want to get covered in the red here. Now these are two colours that I've hardly used, so it's nice to be getting some kind of use out of them. So let's get around here into all this here. That's working quite well. Okay, so we'll let that bit dry on the ghoul and we'll come back and go over him with another highlight of the pallid flesh just to kind of see him in. I may just get the Quelea on the other side of the arm there just to look at it a bit similar. Just while I have it to hand, I'm going to maybe not with that brush. I'm going to use Wraithbone here now just to provide a small daub of a light colour to the eyes, which we're then going to colour in with red afterwards. Okay. tongue back there. Yeah, got a tongue back there as well. So we just get that bit of colour in that as well. And then just looking at the colours, seeing what else we could highlight while we're here waiting for that bit to dry. Okay, I think this colour would work well maybe for the edges of the trainers there. Okay, maybe not. Because it's gone funny. Okay. Tell you what, while we're waiting, let's have a look at fingernails now. I have no idea what an orc's fingernails would look like, so I'm just going to go for a darkened, like a watered down contrast black, which kind of, you can see it kind of, it's opaque enough where some of the green is to have, yeah, I think that works. It's enough. Just a bit of Ag shade dust on the hands under there where I missed a bit. Contrast Blood Angels red for the tongue. And in fact, I'll probably do the eyes as well while I'm here. Just going to try and dab that down there. You can just see where I've lightened up the tongue. There we go, we got it. And then using this one. Held my breath and everything then, there we go. Beady little orc eyes. And then just around the gums there as well. Okay, next colour is gonna be, let's have a look. I might already have this one down here. Dawnstone. For these kind of stone chips that he's got on his arm. Are they stone or were they bone? Well, they're stone now. Okay. I may just kind of wet blend that one now, let's see it. Okay, back to our pallid flesh. Okay. I'm just gonna pick out the front bits, top bits here, just to bring some of that definition back in. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with that. I mean, looking at it on the screen, it looks a lot better than what my naked eye can see it. No, I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with that. We'll just get a bit of the old snakebite leather though, just for this strap. Just to reinstate it there. There we go. So you got that colour back in. You can see where that's coming from. Alright. And I think with that, we can call it there. All that's left now is the base. The only thing, just to, I may just colour in on the back here now, these little stitching marks here. Just so they have a different colour to everything else. But I think at that point, contrast plus, we can call it there. Happy days. If you've been watching from the start, thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. Feel free to like, feel free to subscribe. I've got more videos in the pipeline. And hopefully I can try and make this a Saturday night thing. Okay. You've been watching The Hobby Shed. My name is Mike. Thank you ever so much for watching. Good night.